Your grandmother told you the story her whole life. That somewhere back up the family line, there was a Native American ancestor. You believed it. And then, one afternoon, you opened an app and a number stared back at you. 0%. So who lied? Your grandmother or the test? The uncomfortable answer is maybe neither, because a DNA test doesn't do the thing you think it does. And by the end of this, you'll understand why a real ancestor can vanish from your results without a single company ever deleting a thing. There's a story told in millions of American families, a great-grandmother who was part Cherokee, a distant ancestor from a tribe whose name got lost somewhere along the way. For generations, it was simply true, the way family stories are true. You didn't question it. It was part of who you were. Then the DNA tests arrived, and they promised something intoxicating: certainty. Spit in a tube, mail it off, and the machine will finally tell you who you really are. So people tested, and a strange thing happened. Over and over, the number came back at 0. No indigenous Americas, nothing. For a lot of families, that felt like a verdict. Grandma was wrong. The story was a fantasy. But here's the first crack in that verdict, and it comes from the testing companies themselves. Ancestry openly explains that a person can have a real Native American ancestor, a documented one, sitting right there in the family tree, and still receive no Native American result at all. 0% does not automatically mean 0 ancestors. And that raises a much stranger question than who lied. It asks, how can the truth be in your family tree and not in your test? To answer that, we have to look at what these tests are actually reading, and it's not what the marketing shows you. Start with a puzzle that shouldn't be possible. You have exactly one genome, one, but send your DNA to 4 different companies and you can get 4 different answers, different maps, different percentages, different labels for the same person. If DNA were a fixed measurement like your blood type, that could not happen. So something else is going on. The first reason lives in your own biology, and it's genuinely counterintuitive. You get half your DNA from each parent, but which half is random. Every generation, the chromosomes get shuffled and cut, and pieces fall away. Go back to a great-great-grandparent, and on average, you'd expect around 6% of your DNA from them. But on average hides a brutal detail. It's not a rule. It's a coin toss played across many generations, which means a specific ancestor's DNA can shrink and eventually disappear from you entirely, while your cousin from the very same ancestor still carries a trace of it. The person stays in the family tree forever, but their DNA can quietly leave your body. So sometimes the test is right that your DNA carries no signal, even when your family history is also right that the ancestor existed. Both true, that's not a contradiction, that's inheritance. But that's only the first layer, because even when the DNA is there, the test can still miss it. And to see why, you have to understand what the machine is really comparing your DNA against. If your family carries one of these stories, hold on to it for a second. We're going to come back to what it might actually mean, and it's bigger than a percentage. Here's the thing nobody tells you at checkout. A DNA test does not scan your body for a Cherokee gene. There is no such gene. What it actually does is take your DNA, break it into segments, and ask a much humbler question of all the reference samples in my library, which one does this piece look most like? That library has a name. It's called a reference panel. And it is not a photograph of all humanity. It's a dictionary. And every dictionary has words it's missing. Now watch what happens when a page is blank. 23andMe has publicly admitted they don't have a dedicated ancestry group for indigenous Caribbean people because it's genuinely hard to find enough reference samples with little outside admixture. So if you have indigenous Caribbean ancestry, the machine doesn't say, "I don't know." It reaches for the closest thing it does know, and it might label your DNA as North American or Mesoamerican, or Andean. Read that carefully. Your ancestry wasn't deleted. It was sent to the wrong address. The machine never says, "I can't find your ancestor's homeland." It says, "Of the homelands I know, this one is closest." Those are not the same sentence. Then there's a third layer, and it happens on the screen itself. A test always produces a probability, never a certainty. So the company has to decide how much evidence is enough to print a label. In its newest version, 23andMe changed that rule. It now assigns each segment to its single most likely match, and the old unassigned category disappeared from the default view. That sounds cleaner, but here's the quiet catch. When the word uncertain vanishes from the screen, the uncertainty behind it doesn't necessarily vanish with it. And you can watch all of this happen in real time. People have taken the exact same DNA file, waited for a software update, and watched their percentages shift. 12% of one region becomes 8, plus 4% of a region that wasn't there yesterday. Zoom in on the tube of saliva. Not one molecule of it changed. Only the model reading it did. Your DNA doesn't change, but the dictionary the machine uses to read it does. And how big are the blank pages really? In 2026, a study in Nature sequenced just 128 indigenous American genomes in high detail. Compared against databases of over 270,000 genomes, those 128 people revealed more than 1.4 million genetic variants that had never been recorded before. Let that sink in. The gap wasn't in their DNA. The gap was in the library we'd built to read it. Now, I want to be careful here, because this is where cheap videos overreach. This is not proof that companies are lying or hiding the truth on purpose. Good science should update as better data arrives. The honest takeaway is smaller and stranger. Your ancestry percentage was never a fixed fact stamped into your genome. It's an estimate. It depends on the version of the software, and it can only ever see the peoples it was taught to recognize. So let's go back to your grandmother and the 0, because there's a deeper truth waiting there, and it's the reason this story matters. Sometimes that part Cherokee story wasn't a mistake at all. It was armor. In parts of American history under laws built on race, a family with African ancestry could be safer, could keep land, keep freedom, keep their children, if the story became native instead. In some families, the Cherokee grandmother wasn't a fantasy. She was a shield, passed down because the truth was dangerous to say out loud. That doesn't make the family wrong. It makes them survivors. And a DNA test that returns 0 isn't exposing a lie. It might be brushing up against a wound that a family carried carefully for 100 years. But here's the line that matters most, and every serious institution agrees on it. Even a positive result, even 1% indigenous, does not make you a member of a tribe. The U.S. Bureau of Indian Affairs states plainly that a DNA test cannot document your descent from a specific recognized tribe. Tribal nations are sovereign communities. Citizenship there is a political and legal relationship built on records, kinship, culture, and belonging, not a percentage a company prints on a map. As one indigenous scholar put it, being indigenous is not always a biological category. So untangle the 4 questions this whole story has been tangling together. Did you have an ancestor? That's for family records and history to answer. Is their DNA still in you? That depends on inheritance. Can a commercial algorithm see it? That depends on the panel, the model, and the rules. And does any of it make you a citizen of a nation? That was never a testing company's call to make. Which brings us back to the title. Maybe the thing being hidden was never your ancestry at all. Maybe what's hidden is the uncertainty behind the number, and the quiet question nobody prints on the box. Who built the ruler that's measuring you? This channel isn't here to hand you a tidy percentage and call it your identity. It's here to sit with the hard questions, the ones where the science, the history, and the human story don't line up neatly. And honestly, the reason this channel keeps digging deeper is you. Every question you ask sends us back to the research with something sharper to look for. So I want to hear from you. If your family carries a story that a DNA test seemed to say no to, a grandmother, a great-grandfather, a name that got lost, tell me about it below. And if you know something I got wrong or something I missed, say that too. That's how this gets better. Thank you all for watching. Please jump into the comments with any of your questions, any of your thoughts, and keep them coming. I read them. And there where the next video usually begins.